Chapter 4. It was an hour past nightfall. Starkey sat alone on a log table sifting through sheets of yellow flimsy. Their contents dismayed him. He served the country for 36 years, beginning as a scared West Point plebe. He won medals, spake with presidents, offered them advice, and on occasion his advice was taken. He had been through dark moments before, plenty of them, but this... He was scared, so deeply scared he hardly dared admit it to himself. It was the kind of fear that could drive you mad. On impulse, he got up and went to the wall where the 5 blank TV monitors looked into the room. As he got up, his knee bumped the table, causing one of the sheets of flimsy to fall off the edge. It seesawed lazily down through the mechanically purified air and landed on the tile, half in the table's shadow and half out. Someone standing over it and looking down would have seen this. OT confirmed, seems reasonably strain-coded 848AB, Campion W, Sally, antigens shift, mutation. High risk / excess mortality and communicability estimated, repeat 99.4%. Atlanta Plague Center understands. Top secret blue folder ends PT 222-312A. Starkey pushed a button under the middle screen and the picture flashed on with the unnerving suddenness of solid-state components. It showed the western California desert looking east. It was desolate, and the desolation was rendered eerie by the reddish-purple tinge of infrared photography. What's out there? Straight ahead, Starkey thought. Project Blue. The fright tried to wash over him again. He reached into his pocket and brought out a blue pill, what his daughter would call a downer. Names didn't matter, results did. He dry swallowed it, his hard, unseen face wrinkling for a moment as it went down. Project Blue. He looked at the other blank monitors and punched up pictures in all of them. 4 and 5 showed labs. 4 was physics, 5 was viral biology. The Vi-Bi lab was full of animal cages, mostly for guinea pigs, rhesus monkeys, and a few dogs. None of them appeared to be sleeping. In the physics lab, a small centrifuge was still turning around and around. Starkey complained about that. He complained bitterly. There was something spooky about that centrifuge going gaily around and around and around while Dr. Eastwick lay dead on the floor nearby, sprawled out like a scarecrow that tipped over in the high wind. They explained to him that the centrifuge was on the same circuit as the lights, and if they turned off the centrifuge, with lights would go too. And the cameras down there were not equipped for infrared. Starkey understood. Some more brass might come down from D.C. and want to look at the dead Nobel Peace Prize winner was lying 400 feet under the desert less than a mile away. If we turn off the centrifuge, we turn off the professor. Elementary. What his daughter would have called a catch-22. He took another downer and looked into monitor 2. This was the one he liked the least. He didn't like the man with his face in the soup. Suppose someone walked up to you and said, "You will spend eternity with your fizz in a bowl of soup." That's like the old pie in the face routine. It stops being funny when it starts being you. Monitor 2 showed the Project Blue cafeteria. The accident had occurred almost perfectly between shifts, and the cafeteria had only been lightly populated. He supposed that hadn't mattered much to them whether they died in the cafeteria, or in their beds, or their labs. Still, the man with his face in the soup. A man and a woman in blue coveralls were crumpled at the foot of the candy machine. A man in a white coverall lay beside the Seabird jukebox. At the tables themselves were 9 men and 14 women. Some of them slumped beside Hostess Twinkies, some spilled cups of Coke and Sprite so clutched in their stiff hands. At the second table, near the end, there was a man who had been identified as Frank D. Bruce. His face was in a bowl of what appeared to be Campbell's chunky sirloin soup. The first monitor showed only a digital clock. Until June 13th, all the numbers on the clock had been green. Now they were bright red. They stopped. Figures red. 061390023716. June 13th, 1990. 37 minutes past 2 in the morning and 16 seconds. From behind him came a brief burring noise. Starkey turned off the monitors one by one and then turned around. He saw the sheet of flimsy on the floor and put it back on the table. Come. It was Creighton. He looked grave and his skin was a slaty color. More bad news. Starkey thought serenely. Someone else is taking a long high dive into a cold bowl of chunky sirloin soup. Hi, Len, he said quickly. Lane Craigton nodded. Billy, this... Christ, I don't know what to tell you. I think one word at a time may go best, soldier. Those men who handle Campion's body through their prelims in Atlanta, and the news isn't good. All of them, 5 for sure. There's one. His name is Stuart Richard Redmond, who's negative so far, but as far as we can tell, Campion himself is negative for over 50 hours. If only Campion hadn't run, Starkey said. That was very sloppy security, Len. Hugely sloppy. Creighton nodded. Go on. Arnett has been quarantined. We've isolated at least 16 cases of constantly shifting April and flu there so far. And those are just the overt ones. The news media? So far no problem. They believe it's anthrax. What else? One very serious problem. You have a Texas Highway patrolman named Joseph Robert Portman. His cousin owns the gas station where Campion ended up. We dropped by yesterday morning to Hopscomb to help people who are coming. We picked him up 3 hours ago and he's en route to Atlanta now. In the meantime, he's been patrolling half of East Texas. God knows how many people he's been in contact with. Oh, shit, Starkey said, and was appalled by the watery weakness in his voice and the skin crawl that had started near the base of his testicles and was now working up into his belly. 99.4% communicability, he thought. It played insanely over and over in his mind, and that meant 99.4% excess mortality, because the human body couldn't produce the antibodies necessary to stop a constantly shifting antigen virus. Every time the body did produce the right antibody, the virus simply shifted to a slightly new form. For the same reason, a vaccine was almost going to be almost impossible to create. 99.4%. Crazy, he said. That's it. Well, go on, finish. Softly, Creighton said. Dick Hammer's dead, Billy. Suicide. He shot himself in the eye with a service pistol. The Project Blue specs were on his desk. I guess he thought leaving them was all the suicide note anybody would need. Starkey closed his eyes. Dick Hammer had been, his son-in-law. How was he supposed to tell Cynthia about this? I'm very sorry, Cynthia. Vic took a high dive into a cold bowl of soup today. Here, have a downer. You see, there was a goof. Somebody made a mistake with a box. Somebody else forgot to pull a switch that would have sealed off the base. The log was only 40-some seconds, but it was enough. The box is known in the trade as a sniffer. It's made in Portland, Oregon, Defense Department Contract 164480966. The boxes are put together in separate circuits by female technicians, and they do it that way so none of them really know what they're doing. One of them was maybe thinking about what to make for supper, and whoever was supposed to check her work was maybe thinking about trading the family car. Anyway, Cynthia, the last coincidence was that a man at the number 4 security post, a man named Charles D. Campion, saw the numbers go red just in time to get out of the room before the doors shut and mag-locked. Then he got his family and ran. He drove through the main gate just 4 minutes before the siren started going off and we sealed the whole base. No one was looking for him until nearly an hour later because there are no monitors in the security post. Somewhere along the line, you either saw guarding the Guardians or everyone in the world would be a goddamn turnkey. And everybody just assumed he was in there waiting for the sniffer to start to clean from the dirty. So he got into the running room and he was smart enough to use the branch trails and lucky enough not to pick any of the ones where his car could get bogged down. Then someone had to make a command decision on whether or not to bring the state police, the FBI, or both of them, and that fabled buck got passed hither, thither, and yon. And by the time someone decided the shop ought to handle it, this happy diseased asshole had gotten to Texas, and when they finally caught him, he wasn't running anymore because he and his wife and his baby girl were all laid out on cooling boards in some pissant little town called Braintree, Texas. Anyway, Cynthia, what I'm trying to say is that this was a chain of coincidence on the order of winning the Irish sweepstakes, with a little incompetence and bullshit thrown in for good luck, for bad luck. Please excuse me. But mostly it was just a thing that happened. None of this was your man's fault. But he was that of the project and he saw the situation start to escalate. And thanks, Len, he said. Billy, would you like? I'll be up in 10 minutes. I want you to schedule a general staff meeting 15 minutes from now. If they're in bed, kick them the fuck out. Yes, sir. And Len, yes? I'm glad you were the one who told me. Yes, sir. Len left. Bill glanced at his watch and walked over to the monitors and set into the wall. He turned on 2, put his hands behind his back, and stared thoughtfully into Project Blue's silent cafeteria.